What does life truly look like at 71 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Celsius? This isn't just a number on a thermometer, it's a threshold where the very laws of physics seem to bend. It's a temperature so profound that it can shatter steel, where a simple exhalation of breath doesn't just fog, it crystallizes and falls to the ground like dust. In this realm of absolute cold, a single, seemingly minor mistake, a forgotten glove, a stalled engine, a moment of inattention, doesn't just lead to discomfort. It can be fatal. This is an environment that demands constant vigilance, where survival is a skill honed over generations. Welcome to the Pole of Cold, the coldest inhabited places on our planet. Here, in the vast isolated landscapes of Siberia, winter isn't merely a season that comes and goes. It is a dominant, unyielding force that shapes every aspect of existence. It's a way of life, woven into the very fabric of culture, community, and identity. The calendar might say spring is coming, but the ice holds its ground, a constant reminder of who is truly in charge. In this documentary, we journey deep into these frozen frontiers, to places like Oymyakon and Yakutsk, to understand how people not only survive, but thrive in extreme cold, often without the modern convenience of central heating. We will explore the ingenious architecture born from necessity, discovering how homes are built on stilts, hovering above the permanently frozen ground to prevent the structures from melting themselves into the earth. We'll examine how clothing is not a fashion statement, but a meticulously engineered survival system with layers of fur and felt designed to trap heat and repel a cold that can kill in minutes. You'll learn why the fires in their stoves can never be allowed to go out, serving as the literal heart of the home, and how daily routines are completely redefined when stepping outside is a calculated risk. From the surreal sight of an outdoor market where fish and meat are frozen solid by the air itself, to the necessity of keeping car engines running 24/7 to prevent them from freezing solid, this is a rare and intimate look into the depths of human resilience. We are venturing to the very edge of habitability, a place where the line between life and the unforgiving cold is drawn anew each day. This is a world governed by ice, where the simple act of eating raw, frozen food provides vital nutrients, and where technology must be adapted or abandoned. But let's be clear. This is not a story about suffering. It is not a chronicle of misery in a desolate wasteland. Instead, it's a powerful story about adaptation, a testament to the incredible ingenuity of the human spirit. It's a celebration of tradition, of knowledge passed down through generations that allows life to flourish where it seems impossible. Above all, it is a story of survival, not in a grim, desperate sense, but as a proud, dignified way of being. At -71 degrees Celsius, the cold is no longer just weather. It transcends meteorology. It is pressure, a constant heavy presence that you feel on your skin and in your lungs. It is silence, a profound quiet that absorbs all sound, where the crunch of your own footsteps is the only thing you hear. And it is a force, an invisible entity that tests every plan and punishes every mistake with immediate, unforgiving consequences. This is one of the coldest inhabited places on Earth, a land where winter is not a visitor, but the landlord, dominating the calendar for most of the year. Here, survival depends entirely on preparation, on foresight, and on a deep respect for the environment. Comfort is a luxury, readiness is a necessity. Here, breath freezes in mid-air, a phenomenon the locals call the whisper of the stars. Metal becomes brittle, snapping with the fragility of glass, and any exposed skin, left unprotected for even a few moments, can turn to ice in seconds, the threat of frostbite a constant companion. And yet, people live here. Generations have been born into this cold, their lives intertwined with its rhythms. They stay, not because it is easy and not because they are trapped. They live here because it is home. At -71 degrees Celsius, the cold is no longer weather. It is an environment. It is pressure. It is pain. It is a physical force that can kill in minutes. Here, the air itself feels solid, a weight on the lungs with every breath. The simple act of inhaling is a conscious effort, a sharp, biting sensation that reminds you of your fragility. This is Oymyakon, in the heart of Siberia, one of the coldest permanently inhabited places on Earth. And against all logic, people live here. They are born here. They build their lives in a place where the rest of the world sees only an impossible void. Winter rules this land with an iron grip. Not for weeks, not for months, but for most of the year. A season so long and so profound, it reshapes the very definition of time. Summer is a fleeting memory, a brief, feverish dream before the inevitable return of the ice. The ground beneath every step is permafrost, a layer of soil, rock and ice frozen solid for thousands of years. It is the bedrock of this entire region, a foundation that never melts. It is a constant, ancient presence, hundreds of meters deep. And if it does, if the delicate thermal balance is disturbed, everything collapses. The ground turns to mud, swallowing roads, foundations, and the very structures of life built upon its supposed permanence. At these temperatures, the laws of physics are rewritten. Metal becomes brittle, snapping like a dry twig. Plastic shatters into 1,000 pieces with the slightest impact. Exposed skin freezes in seconds, the cells crystallizing and dying before the brain can even register the pain. Sound itself changes. The air, dense and heavy, carries it differently. Snow squeaks underfoot with a distinctive crunch, a sound locals call the whisper of the stars. Breath crackles, crystallizing as it leaves the lungs. The cold is everywhere. It seeps through every crack, finds every weakness. It is a silent, invisible predator, and it is always watching, waiting for a single mistake. In this place, houses are not built for comfort or aesthetics. They are fortresses. They are built for survival. Walls are thick, packed with insulation. Windows are small, often triple or quadruple glazed to create insulating pockets of air. And all buildings stand on stilts, concrete pylons driven deep into the permafrost, lifting them above the frozen earth. This isn't to stay warm, but to protect the ground beneath them. The heat from the building would otherwise melt the permafrost, turning the solid foundation into a sinking swamp. The house protects itself by protecting the cold. Inside, space is tight. Every square inch is functional. Heat is precious, a resource more valuable than gold. Often, there is only one stove, the heart of the home. It burns day and night, fed with coal or wood. It is a constant living presence, a ritual of survival. It is never allowed to go out. Because if it does, the cold begins its assault immediately. Frost creeps across the walls. Ice forms on the inside of the windows. Within hours, the house can freeze solid, its contents entombed in ice. Here, heating is not a convenience. It is not a utility bill. It is the thin, flickering line between life and death. In this cold, clothing is not style. It is not fashion. It is personal, mobile shelter. It is your first and last line of defense against an environment that wants you dead. Layers of fur, often from reindeer, whose hollow hairs provide unmatched insulation. Wool, down, boots, called valenki, are made of thick pressed felt with no seams to let in the cold. Hats pulled low, faces fully covered by masks or scarves. Only the eyes remain exposed, and even they are not safe. Eyelashes quickly gather frost, the moisture from your own body freezing instantly. At -50, -60, modern synthetic materials begin to fail. Zippers freeze and break. Fabrics become stiff and crack. But traditional clothing, knowledge refined over generations of survival, still works. Every layer has a purpose. Every stitch is a lesson learned. The inner layers wick away sweat, which can freeze and kill. The outer layers block the wind and trap the body's heat. Here, a single exposed patch of skin is a critical mistake. A forgotten glove, a scarf that slips. Frostbite is not a risk, it is a certainty, and mistakes are unforgiving. Food in extreme cold is not about choice, or flavor, or culinary art. It is about energy. It is a simple, brutal equation of calories needed to fight a cold that burns them relentlessly. Fresh vegetables are a luxury, almost impossible to transport and store. Instead, people eat meat, fish, and fat, dense, high-energy fuel for the body's internal furnace. Reindeer, horse, and fatty fish are the cornerstones of the diet. Outside, nature becomes a vast, natural freezer. A fish pulled from the river freezes instantly, hard as a rock. Meat can be stored outdoors all winter, perfectly preserved by the sterile cold. This frozen fish, shaved into thin curls, is a local delicacy called stroganina. It is eaten raw, not for tradition alone, but because fire, fuel, and time are limited resources. It is the most efficient way to consume calories. In this cold, nothing rots. Bacteria cannot function. The cycle of decay is suspended. Nothing melts. The land decides what you eat. It provides the protein and the fat, and it provides the means to preserve it. You eat what the cold allows. Here, winter rewrites the rules of daily life. Cars are left running around the clock, sometimes for weeks on end. Turn off the engine, and the oil will thicken to sludge, the battery will die, the tires will freeze flat. It may never start again until spring. Modern technology is fragile here. Phones lose their power in minutes, their liquid crystal displays freezing. Eyeglasses frost over instantly the moment you step outside, blinding you. Batteries die without warning, their chemical reactions halted by the cold. Burying pipes in the permafrost is impossible, so they run above ground, heavily insulated. Still, water pipes freeze solid. For this reason, many homes still use outdoor toilets, a brutal necessity, even in the deepest winter. Yet life does not stop. School is rarely cancelled, only closing if the temperature drops below -55 Celsius. Work continues. The routines of life are adapted, not abandoned. Because the cold is expected, it is the baseline condition of existence. What is dangerous is complacency, forgetting, even for a moment, how lethal it can be. At extreme temperatures, the cold makes itself heard. It has a voice, breath crackles, wood snaps as the moisture inside it freezes and expands. Ice groans and shrieks beneath buildings as it shifts under the immense pressure. A short walk to a neighbor's house can become fatal. A missing glove, a car that stalls, a moment of carelessness. The margin for error is zero. The cold does not rush. It does not need to. It does not warn. It simply waits. It is a patient hunter, and it always wins against the unprepared, the arrogant, the forgetful. And yet, people remain. They choose to stay. Children grow up here, their playground a world of white. They play in snow that never melts, their games adapted to the physics of ice. Families gather around stoves, the warmth creating a small universe of safety and light. Communities rely on one another with an intensity unknown in milder climates, because isolation can kill faster than the cold itself. A neighbour's help is not a courtesy. It is a critical part of the survival infrastructure. People stay not because they must, but because their roots are driven deeper than the permafrost. This land holds their history. Their ancestors are buried here. Their identity is inextricably woven into the fabric of this extreme world. To ask, "Why do you stay?" is to misunderstand. Leaving would mean losing more than warmth. It would mean severing a connection to the land, to family, to self. It would mean losing home. At -71 degrees, humans do not conquer nature. That is an illusion of warmer climates. Here, you adapt or you perish. They learn the language of the cold. They respect its power, because disrespect is fatal. This knowledge is the most important inheritance a child can receive. Survival here is not about brute strength. It is about knowledge. It is about discipline, patience, and foresight. It is about tradition, a chain of wisdom passed through generations. This is not a story of suffering. It is a story of human endurance, of resilience in its purest form. In the coldest places on Earth, life does not stop. It finds a way. It endures.